But I just want to hear how y'all would both answer the simple question, are you ever uneasy of being associated with the church?
We live our lives the way the world dictates, not the way Scripture dictates, not the way Jesus lived. Oh, well, that was a different time. Yeah, that's the point, you bonehead. You're living according to the spirit of the age right now, instead of that emanates from Scripture and the kingdom. And that has to do with pace, space.
There's going to be times where you don't like decisions that are made. There's going to be times where you don't agree with things. Trust me, I have all those days. I said, but here's what I can tell you. And I've been here for 15 years now. What I can tell you is I never question the heart of our leadership. I never question, do they love Jesus? I never question, do they believe that they're doing the right thing?
Once Christianity loses its commitment to love radically and love sacrificially, we might as well just hang it up.
All right.
Oh, little Matthew McConaughey to get us started. All right. Well, let's just jump right in. Hey, I'll just tell you a common theme on this podcast for me is reflecting on my kids and feeling old. So every now and then I need to bring Chip in so I don't feel so old. Welcome to the podcast, Chip.
I missed something in translation there. What?
It's probably best.
Here's what's funny, Pastor Chip, is we intended on having an extra person with us today, and she got stuck in traffic. And so I told Roy, I was like, we are in or the listeners are in trouble. It's me, Roy, and Chip for an hour. Like, this ain't safe for listeners, not the three of us together. All joking aside, we're honored to have you on here. We love you so much. We miss seeing you more in the flesh, and we'll get to your health here in a bit. But speaking of feeling old, I got to tell y'all something. I think I really dropped the ball with some parenting. One of my kids, and I'm not going to say which one because it kind of reflects poorly on this person, but I think the parent dropped the ball. I had a kid literally want to put a letter in the mail and ask me, don't I need one of those stickers? I said, you mean a stamp? So I have a teenage kid who does not know what a stamp is. And then this one's, I'm curious. So I've had my right blinker out for a while and I need to get it fixed. And so anytime I take a right turn, I down the window and I do the right signal.
Stop it.
So 2 questions. First of all, what majority of people in this world know what this means? Because I learned it in Cub Scouts.
None.
This is left. Straight out, like if you're listening, I have my left hand pointed straight and then right. And I remembered as a kid, the right way is to heaven. So you point up for right. So
wow.
Yeah, very few people know what the heck I'm even doing. My second question is, would a cop, would he or she forgive my lack of blinker by giving an appropriate signal?
No way.
No?
No way. Absolutely.
You know that for sure, or you're pretty sure?
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Chip, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think they'd let you off the hook.
Really?
Now they might just give you a warning because obviously you're given the signal means you're aware your blinker's out. So They might just give you a warning.
Yeah. Yeah, but I laugh because every time I do this, I'm like, the person does not know what I'm saying.
Dude, Joey, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Get your freaking blinker fixed.
Get your blinker fixed.
I know. Well, see, my daughter's boyfriend, he's going to replace it for me, and I just have to sync up schedules. I've already bought the bulb that it requires, and I need to do that.
All right, can I make another suggestion?
Yes, I love your suggestions. I always come to you for suggestions.
Tell him if he doesn't have it fixed by the end of day today, he can't date your daughter.
All right, so we're going to get into I think, some pretty serious talk that the three of us will laugh about, but also get pretty serious about. And the general question is, and I'll give some examples for some listeners later on in the episode, because you're going to be like, what in the world has gotten into Joey? But I want to ask the three of us, are we ever embarrassed to be associated with the American church? I'm using phrases loosely here, and so that'll be the bulk of the conversation. But I've got to see y'all's reaction to the following graphic that... So this is Micah Parsons. Green Bay hit the jackpot in a crazy trade that shook up the NFL. Listeners, listen to what this, I think he's a linebacker, right? Do you know, Roy? Is he a linebacker?
No, he's a defensive end.
Defensive end. Listen to what his money income is going to be, and I got to hear what y'all think about this. So he's going to make $1.49 per second, $89 per minute, $5,400 per hour, and then every day around $129,000. Every week over $900,000, and then every month just shy of $4 million. That every month $4 million. What do y'all think of that? So first of all, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I can't even wrap my mind around that kind of money. And I would just say, well, if that's what they're going to pay him, I don't fault him. I'm not bitter. I do just think, wow, athletes. And I guess my thought is, well, it brings, the NFL brings in a huge stream of income. The players are the ones that you can't go without. Without the players, you don't have the NFL. But I will say this, and then I'll let you guys comment however you want. I'll never forget, I was in the gym. This was years ago. And this is what I lament on, are the old NFL players. I saw a guy, and I was like, that looks like a freaking Super Bowl ring. And so I went up to him, and I said, hey, I'm sorry, I just have to ask. I was like, what ring is that? And I forgot what the date was, but it was something like 1975 Super Bowl champs, Dallas Cowboys. And this dude was just a regular dude. Did not have wealth, just a regular dude working in the gym. And we had Rick Barry on the podcast a few months ago. He's an NBA player whose career probably was over in the early 80s. I mean, he's looking at this kind of money. Even Charles Barkley, whose career wrapped up in the mid-90s, is looking at NBA salaries saying, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. What do y'all think about how professional athletes are paid?
To me, how do you feel about actors and what they're paid? How do you feel about politicians and how they are paid, but also how they make money in ways that are probably unethical, if not illegal? Whatever. I find it best, like you said, Joey, to just, there's a proverb that says to not envy, the person who looks like they're doing better than you, kind of. And that's just a dead end street to go down there. Bless his heart. I hope he has somebody helping him manage it. And he's an entertainer. If Tom Cruise can make 20-30 million a movie, he's an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. But
yeah, I don't think right or wrong either, because if someone's willing to pay, if Seacoast was willing to pay you $5 million, I guess for some ethical reasons, you're like, I don't want to be a pastor for that much, but.
Whoa, Joey. Whoa.
Chip salary.
I feel bad for this guy because I feel bad for this guy because he's making a little less than I do. But
I think that's the hard part, even for us to even fathom, is because we do work in a setting that would control money in terms of paying salaries and stuff based upon perception. Just because you can in our world doesn't mean you should or you can, or that you. And so in their world, it's just straight numbers in business, straight profit margins. They have the money to pay them. No problem. They do it. They don't care what people think. They don't care what people say. Like, they want the best players on the field, and if they can pay them, great. In our business, that's not in our business, quote unquote business. That's just not a world we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that what makes me lament over this sort of thing is the amount of money that teachers are paid and policemen are paid. And it's just the world that we live in. But still, I think, golly.
Yeah.
That's
exactly where my brain went. In fact, teachers is exactly what I was thinking about. But, whatever, with all the political stuff going on right now, you can't help but think about some of this stuff. And what I mean is like how could you create some version of, I wouldn't say equity, but I don't know. I mean, in other words, I don't have a
communist.
He's a socialist. He's a socialist.
Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid. What I'm trying to say is, how can you make things where everybody's living a good life? But here's the deal. The reason I wouldn't be a socialist is, living on what somebody else is giving you is not good for your self-esteem. It's not good for the development of your character. So just having a giveaway culture that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily kind. So there's this weird tension you've got to figure out.
And see, so as funny as what I started to one of the things I was thinking a while ago is my first thought when you read that is, as crazy as, as absurd as I think that is, I'm thankful that we live in a capitalistic society that allows people to go and to make whatever they want to of their life and make, if they want to make money like that, they can do it. Not all of us can. We're not all blessed with that athletic ability, but the fact is I appreciate the fact that we live in a society and culture that allows people to basically, if they want to chase money, if they want to chase riches, they can go do it, and they can make it happen. So if they're willing to work for it, they can make it happen. And let's just be real. We can say what we want to about athletes and whatever, but they have worked hard to get there.
Absolutely. If
we could have all done it, we'd be there. You know what I'm saying? And we know the world is full of athletes that have natural ability that just weren't willing to put in the work. So for whatever you want to say about Micah Parsons, for whatever you want to say about those guys, they've put in the work to get
and sacrificed tons,
and sacrificed to get to where they are.
Yeah,
and so kind of good for them, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
it isn't just being born big, born fast, born whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to walk the walk and sacrifice and it's like prize fighters. They get in the ring and the fight's over in a minute and a half, and they say, "Oh, well, you made $3 million for a minute and a half." No, he didn't. He made $3 million for a lifetime of commitment to his craft, and the show was a minute and a half, but not the preparation.
And we could break that down for every job in culture, right? I mean, in the majority of it, we could talk about. How many of us, every time we take our car to a mechanic, we think it's absolutely ridiculous, what we're being charged, hourly labor to fix our car. But again, you're not paying just for that labor. You're paying for the knowledge and the tools that he owns and all the things that go into that. There's so much more to the equation than just the work that he does.
Right. I will say this, and it's easy to criticize on the outside looking in, and I don't think that I have a judgmental heart because I don't know what it's like to be in this world of professional sports. I know I have an ego, and I know that it was even bigger when I was in my mid to late 20s, like a lot of these players. But it does make me scratch my head when you see these sorts of dollar signs and then hear from the very players that are getting paid this amount saying, I want more because such and, I need to be the highest paid, and again, it's ego, and I would say lovingly immaturity, but I could not imagine being in a position, making anywhere close to that, and just not taking a step back and be like, I'm grateful, I'm fine.
Yeah, but it's all relative, right? Do you want to make more money?
I would always want to make a little more money, for sure.
So there's somebody out there that would give anything probably to make what you're making.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So what I'm saying is it's all relative. We all, no matter what level we live at, we all want a little more. And we're not making $4 million, but to somebody, we're making a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah.
It's the way I stay away. It's the only way I stay away from being too judgmental.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was thinking, Roy, you said earlier about, you're glad we're in a capitalist country and all that. I mean, I've been privileged to travel a bit. I've got a daughter that lives in France, so we go over and visit, and then we go to other countries while we're there. And again, trying to be careful with my words here. I like our culture, and I think everyone in our culture lives at a level. I say everyone, forgive me. The vast majority of people in our culture live at a higher level with more freedom, more availability of opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. And, capitalism is a flawed system, like any system is. But I don't know anyone better, any system that's better. And the way it's designed, you're going to have some that sit on the top of the hill. And you know what? The spot I'm at on the hill ain't that bad. And now there's some people that they would say the spot I'm on the hill. In fact, they might say I'm not even on the hill. I'm in the valley. Well, let's figure it out. Let's figure out how to make capitalism work for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It feels like best case scenario when it comes to different ways of handling government. And I'll say this too, as someone who is very open in conversation. I don't feel there's bitterness tied to it. Sometimes maybe, but as far as the flaws of our country, bottom line is there's still always people trying to get here. I mean, how often do we talk about illegal immigrants, for instance? Because people are constantly trying to get here. So there's something about America that people want access to, and I think it is some of the good stuff that we're talking about. Well, Chip, Roy and I both I gave Roy an assignment, and I took up on the assignment also, just to ask you more of a mentoring question, something akin to what we would ask if we had some one-on-one time with you anyway. But before we do that, if you are not familiar with who Pastor Chip Judd is, he is a very gifted counselor, very gifted pastor. He's been here at Seacoast for a long time and really does have a huge hand in, for lack of better words, watching over people's mental health, meets with the campus pastors regularly, is a huge advocate for more understanding between the church and the mental health profession. And so Roy and I are going to ask you a couple questions. I don't know if his is related to anything like that, but we do want to know about your current status health-wise, because this past December you had a double lung transplant. So how are you doing? I know we don't see you often in the flesh because you got to be careful of not taking on any sort of sickness in your current condition. So kind of give us a snapshot where you're at.
Yeah, I'll start there. I mean, yesterday, we were told a few months ago by one of our doctors that we could fly this fall to go see our daughter in Texas, and that was next week. Tickets bought, ready to go. And I went and had some blood work done yesterday, and I get a call late yesterday afternoon because I had messaged them on the hospital's little thing, and I said, we're going to Texas next week, flying out there. What kind of vaccines would you recommend? Well, I get this call yesterday afternoon, and he didn't say it exactly the way I'm going to say it, but he's like, "Dude, what do you mean you're flying to Texas?" And I said, "We're going out to see our daughter." Who told you could do that? And I told them the doctor's name, and they said, "No, you can't fly to Texas. No, you can't fly for a year from surgery." And my point is, he went on to tell me that blood work I had done in the morning, I have like very, very low white blood cell count. which means my body cannot fight off sickness right now. And a cold of any kind, anything like that would be extraordinarily dangerous.
Golly.
So it was a good wake up call. You know, it was good to get shaken a little bit. And now, as far as the lungs themselves, I mean, I'm killing it, man. I'm doing great. I'm back working out. I feel great. I have energy. I have, you know, man, I'm getting some muscles back. You know, I got to be careful I don't rip my shirt when I flex, you know. But so, you know, things are good. You know, I got blood sugar issues from some of the medications I'm taking, but I am doing really, really, really well. And, you know, I'm sitting in my closet turned into an office, and kind of this is my world right now. And when Colleen and I, you know, on the weekend, we'll wake up like, well, what do you want to do today? You know, the list's about that long because there's just not a whole lot we can do. I can't go in the water because it's full of bacteria. Just all kinds of things that you just never would think about. You just wouldn't ever think about. But that's just whining. No, I'm not even whining because I don't really care. Bottom line, dude, I'm alive. I feel great. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Period. Exclamation point. And here's a cool part of the story. The donor's wife, and I guess in a way she's really the donor because she's the one who designated the lungs to me. She and her kids are coming down here in October, and we're going to have time together.
Dang.
All my kids will be here, and all her kids will be here. And we're going to kind of celebrate the passage of life from their dad, her husband, to me.
Wow.
And it's going to be really, really cool.
Cool and deeply emotional, I would imagine, for everybody. She
and I are actually going to do a podcast before that, probably. In fact, Joey, I might be getting you involved in that. But we're going to do a podcast to talk about the story from her side.
Yeah.
And
wow.
That'll be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's happy to hear as far as your health. Sorry about your trip, though. That's kind of a bummer as well, especially with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Colleen and I, even that yesterday morning, before any of that, we were already saying, how do you feel about going? Well, I don't know, man. And Colleen's like, I don't know if I feel good about this. Because she said, you know, the kids go to school and they bring all those germs home with them. And she said, I'm not sure I feel good about this.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's probably peaceful then to just have that confirmation. You don't have to make a decision now.
Yeah.
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 And you know, I don't mind saying, save a little bit of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Your kids aren't listening. They don't have to hear they don't have to hear that their dad does, you know, sees a price tag on time spent with kids.
Stop.
Hey, thanks, Joey.
We don't have, I want to save some time for the bulk of the discussion when it comes to church, but so we won't spend too much time on these. So Chip, don't feel like you have to go in depth. But my question that I wanted to ask you is, I know you have a history with panic attacks, and it's not something that is a part of your life currently, but do you struggle? I really don't know. Do you struggle with anxiety that you have to work through in your current life? Not really, hardly at all.
No. I mean, that was 10 years ago. I went on medication, of course, made changes in my schedule, had great support, friends like you guys that I could talk to, my wife, of course. And it was a multi-year recovery, no doubt about it. But I was on the medication for quite a while, worked my schedule out, and I'm in a really sweet spot now.
Yeah.
I hadn't been an issue, 5 years probably.
Yeah. So my question is personal to me. Obviously, both of y'all know some of the personal things going in my life, and so I don't feel that depression has really reared its ugly head and, you know, since my mental health crisis. I mean, outside of, I would think, typical sad days that most people have, maybe a little deeper or lower for me. I don't know, but anxiety is definitely something that I need to work through, and a little more often in these more recent days. And I'm just curious, Chip, from your expertise perspective and maybe even a little opinion. I've asked some other professionals this question. Do you think there's times when your only choice is just to ride it out? So I have some breathing techniques that I can do. I can also trace maybe some thoughts that are weighing on me and, journal. And hey, if it's not something that I can figure out right now, then you put it off to the side. Like I have these practices and these rationales and different strategies that I can implement. But there are times in which I feel like I can't get rid of this. I just have to ride it out and wait till it goes. And I think being so unfortunately experienced with anxiety, I know that that's what will happen. It'll eventually go away. But sometimes I'll go to bed with it and wake up in the morning better. Would you agree that sometimes you just have to ride it out? Or do you think there's always something you could do, you just might not know what it is?
I mean, I'm sure there are times you just have to write it out, but I'm also sure there's tools and things you can do that'll help, and it might shorten it, lower the intensity, et cetera, that kind of thing. An important question is, when it happens, is it situationally triggered? In other words, is there something real, actual happening or not happening that has triggered the anxiety or threatens to happen? Because if it's situationally real, that's different than just being sort of ambushed by anxiety that's connected to just a habitual trigger, So if it's situational, meaning it's because of something happening, not happening, threatening to happen, the most important thing you can get your hands around the quickest is your words, which is another way of really saying your thoughts. So what you can practice, and again, I'm not saying this is a magic wand, but it's like anything, you'll get better at it, and it'll shorten the duration, lower the intensity, and lengthen the gap between, probably. And that is, you take whatever it is, and again, I'm a journaler, so I would do this in a journal, but you put it front and center. This is the situation that triggered my anxiety. And then you look at it. How realistic is it that what I fear is going to happen? And what you're doing is you're having a conversation with your anxiety, and it's not used to that. It's used to just running over you. And so what you're doing is slowly practicing taking control is not and almost never a good word, but just kind of managing it. And then the other piece you don't want to ever miss is and again, Joey, forgive me, but yours is clearly physiological. We've talked about this before. And so you got to realize that sometimes your anxiety is not even going to be situational, connected to a real event. It's just going to be that part of your brain just says, I feel like being anxious today, kind of. Not really that simple, but and then I think you want to have some kind of a way that you practice, like it's almost like a fire alarm at a kid's school. Like, okay, my smoke alarm's going off, anxiety. And then you say, okay, do I see any fire? No. Do I see any smoke? No. In other words, anxiety's cropped up. You don't know any situations it's attached to. So back it off by acknowledging, okay, is this area in trouble? No. This area, no. And what you're doing is you're just kind of calmly saying, dude, I appreciate you trying to protect me, but there's nothing that you need to protect me from right now. And again, all of those are you're practicing slowing it down and managing it. It's not going to be like done, but it can get to where again, the episodes get shorter, less intense, and farther apart.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I don't journal enough. I really need to do that for sure. All right, Roy, what's your one question?
My one question.
Do you want to share the joke that you sent to Chip and I? Do you want?
No, it's good.
Please don't do that.
I'm afraid how Chip will answer. Man, we're in an interesting season. As you guys know, we just sent our first two off to college. And yeah, man. Do you remember those days, Chip?
Did you cry?
Bro, so here's my question to you. When do I stop crying? And how do I stop?
Yeah. I tell you, dude, it's rough. It's rough, man.
Man.
You sit at the dinner table and they're not there. You have a family function and usually they play this part of that and they're not there.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah. It has.
Tough.
So we dropped them off 2 weeks ago and twin boys, and they're at two different schools. And the thing that really stinks about it is we have to do it 2 times 2 with each of them individually. And so like this weekend, so my one son came home. One of my sons came home this weekend. The other son, because of some other school stuff, couldn't be home. And so, we had a great weekend with him, and he left. And I swear Monday evening, it was like, man, it was 6 hours of like back in it again, of like feeling all the, just the loneliness of them being gone. And so next weekend we're traveling up to see the other one this weekend. So I feel like I'm going to have to go through it almost like every weekend for the next several.
You will for a while.
Who knows? But
yeah,
man.
Well, what'll happen, Roy, is you'll see them doing well, and that's going to help. You'll realize that you have made it possible for them to have the best possible shot at a good life. You and Angie will figure out how to fill that alone time. And that helps a lot. And you just develop a different rhythm. And I think some of the grief gets replaced by just the joy of watching your kid find his way or her way.
Yeah.
And it's, as soon as they're good, something's going to shift a little bit.
I think that's the hard part. And I told him that week. I mean, literally like 2 days into it, we said goodbye. We dropped one of them off. We dropped the first one off on Thursday of that week, and then we came home and we're home for 24 hours, and then we left with the other one and took him to school and had to do it again on Saturday, and so Sunday afternoon, actually it was less than 2 days. It was like 24 hours after dropping the second one off. I sent him a text message, and I just said, "Listen, all right, here's the deal. This is really hard. Like I'm just like, harder than I could have even imagined." And that's I'll come back to that in a second. But I said, "Here's the deal. As parents, we all just want to know that our kids are okay. Like that's the biggest thing we want. Like if we can just know that they're okay." And so I said, and they're typical boys. They'd probably send a text message like once a week if we let them or something. And that's just the way they are. That's just the way they communicate. But I said, listen, like you can help us out by just communicating a little bit, just letting us know you're okay, letting us know you're having fun, letting us know that like. And I said, if you'll help and if you'll communicate and let us know you're okay, I think it'll make this a whole lot easier for us.
Have they responded as far as like upping up their game?
Yeah, no, they have. They've been good about it.
So apparently they're adjusting pretty well.
I think they're doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every kid's different. I mean, our first daughter, Colleen and I were crying and she was comforting us.
Yeah.
Our second daughter, we were all crying.
Yeah.
And then our son, I don't know if any of us cried. I mean, it's our third one, and we knew he was going to be fine. We weren't worried about that.
But here's a huge lesson I'm learning right now, and I feel like I've learned it. I mean, I feel like I've been learning this for years and years and years, and it just continues to get reinforced. And that is that until you've really, and you just don't know what people are walking through until you've walked it. you just don't understand it until you've been there, until you've done it. And so, like, I'm going to be honest with you, man, Joey, I this is maybe a friendship failure, but I sat at the table Monday night, after my son had taken off, and was just kind of sitting there feeling a little lonely, feeling a little bit of the grief, and I thought, man, like, I know my friend, Joey just lost his father, and I just thought, man, I can't even fathom what that grief feels like. If this level of grief, which is not even comparable to losing a loved one, if my son just leaving to go to school feels that I feel at this level, then man, I was thinking about you and what you must be, obviously what you've been going through, and should have reached out to you in that moment, just to tell you I love you. But anyway, just reminds me, like, man, it's in those moments that we really understand empathy, that we really develop the empathy of what other people must be, walking through and feeling, and the sensitivity to give respect to like I've watched people go through grief at a level that I don't understand, and that's the point. In the past, I haven't understood it, and I've thought to myself, I've been guilty of thinking to myself, like, man, like, surely they should be over that by now, right? Like, how long does that go on? And the truth is my own little bit of experience and level of grief is showing me, man, until you've walked it, you can't understand it.
Yeah.
I know you got my back, dude.
Joey and I are going to give you about a month, and if you're not over it, Roy, we're going to
we're going to publicly ridicule you. We're going to take you before the church.
Right. I just asked another friend of mine yesterday. I was in a conversation with him, and his daughter's a second year. I think she's a sophomore, and we were talking about it. He goes, "It gets better." I said, "When? When does it get better?" He goes, "Probably by about the middle of next semester." I was like, "Are you serious? That long? Come on, man. No, I don't know that I could do this for that long."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does just take time with anything.
Anytime you take them back, it's going to start over again a little bit.
Don't tell me that.
But like fall break, Christmas break.
Yeah.
It takes a while. Yeah. To this day, I've got my kids spread around like they are. There's still tears when we say goodbye.
Yeah.
I got a kid in France.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see her in person maybe twice a year, maybe.
So basically, Chip's saying you're never going to get over this. I'm sorry you're going through this, man. Like my oldest, graduated from high school last year, but she went through cosmetology school, so I haven't walked these shoes yet.
I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful. Again, just the perspective is, man, I'm so thankful for the depths of our relationship that caused that level of grief and sorrow, because I tell people, like, it should, like, when you lose somebody that you love, it should hurt. Like, or let me rephrase that. When you lose somebody close to you, it should hurt, because if you've done the relationship thing well, it's supposed to hurt.
Right.
When you lose, when you say goodbye to people, or when you lose people and it doesn't hurt, I think it's probably, unfortunately, a sad commentary on the relationship. And so I'm grateful that we have, and the boys do and they've been great. So I know they love us. We got a sweet note from one of them yesterday. One of them sent a card. I think his program required all of them to send home a note to mom and dad. But still,
it was heartfelt. Still,
it meant a lot to get something from them. Just saying how much he appreciated all that we had done for him and stuff. So anyway, I'm proud of them. I'm so proud of them, and excited for them in this next season. They're all doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for the free counseling, Chip.
Yeah, man.
Hey, so I want to. I'll. You know what? I'm going to ask this question, and then I will stop there because I've got a lot of gaps to fill in. But I just want to hear how y'all would both answer the simple question: are you ever uneasy of being associated with the church.
With the church?
So yeah, I think that's a good thing to explain to listeners, like the body of Christ that Jesus is the head of. We are overly joyed to be a part of that definition of the church, because Jesus is the head, and we would not want to be detached from that for any reason. But you also have churches that have to operate with organization and, for lack of better words, government, and there's certain operations that are treated like businesses, and then the whole concept of mega churches and celebrity pastors. I wrote down 3 things that to maybe help our listeners engage with the sorts of things that maybe we would be uneasy, or reasons in which we'd be uneasy with being associated with the American church structure. And one is hypocrisy, when pastors or leaders act and pretend to be perfect, and then they fall in ways of like, oh my gosh, that's been happening for years, and you've been presenting yourself in such a way. I'd say political zeal at the expense of the true kingdom of God that will never fade. So churches that are very bent on liberal agendas or conservative agendas, and it's like, you're after the wrong thing. That's, at least I would say that. Hey, we're a kingdom, and we could actually all get along with that in mind. And then another one, the one that bothers me the most is it seems like there's a forgetting or even not caring about how to love. And I feel like once Christianity loses its commitment to love radically and love sacrificially, we might as well just hang it up. We just might as well absolutely hang it up. So that's what I'm after, is the sorts of news stories that people read, the bad taste that people have in their mouth, over church, and how they appear to be very judgmental, and the sorts of I won't say outlandish, but the things that we read on social media that people are posting, and we know these are Christians talking like this. Are you ever uneasy with, I'm associated with this?
Oh, probably every day. I mean, I would say there's times when I'm just pure T disappointed, embarrassed, angry at how poorly we represent Jesus. And I would say a lot of it lately is in the political realm, and some of the positions we take on certain issues. Here's my thing, man. No matter what the issue is, and the convictions you have, you can communicate them in a way that represents Jesus well. And if you're not, then you, in my opinion, you've partaken of the spirit of the world. So you're trying to bring kingdom principles in using worldly strategies, and it just doesn't work that way. Like you said, love's a good barometer. Restraint, patience. The fruit of the spirit. Now, I think you could go places that some people would have a hard time connecting to what we're talking about. But things as simple as, like right now at church, we're in a series on detoxing from the social media and that kind of thing, I guess you'd say. And I would say it this way, that that's a drop in the bucket of we live our lives the way the world dictates, not the way Scripture dictates, not the way Jesus lived. Oh, well, that was a different time. Yeah, that's the point, you bonehead. You're living according to the spirit of the age right now, instead of that emanates from Scripture and the kingdom, and that has to do with pace, space, goals, ambitions, everything. What we started off talking about, the football player's salary, him making $3 million a day or whatever it was, a week or something, month, I don't know. Him making $3 million a month is not lowering my salary. Doesn't affect my salary at all. So him doing well doesn't make me do poorly. And, we just pick the wrong fights, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the fight, like they'll say, don't go to a gunfight with a knife. Well, don't look at the other people to see how you should come equipped for this fight, because they're off on so many ways. That here's another key thought. We characterize people too quickly. Like I've noticed, and again, forgive me that I'm going to make this like I'm taking a side here, but it's just a really good example that I have experienced. You're in a conversation with someone who you're pretty sure leans the different direction from me. And, well, did you vote for Trump? And I say, yes, I did. Well, automatically, and I've had this conversation, automatically they assume 10 or 12 different things about me. And I'm like, okay, time out. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Well, you have to. You voted for Trump. No, I'm sorry. No. I voted for Trump for these reasons, blah, blah, blah. Not those. I don't agree with that. And I just didn't feel like the choice that I had was better. I felt like it was worse. And of course, again, and we do the same thing. As soon as we find out somebody voted the other way, we jump to this 10, 12 characteristics that we know about them now. Well, we know this, and we know this, and we know this. And the truth of the matter is, they may just think Trump's a jerk, which unfortunately is capable of being. So a lot of it's all that, like lumping people. And the church, we are not. Jesus said, I don't say anything or do anything that I don't hear the Father saying and see the Father doing. We quit that a long time ago. We're way past that. And I just think we need some restraint. We need to realize that I don't care how strongly you believe about something. You don't have a right to say it however you want to say it, wherever you want to say it. You just don't. Mm-hmm. Shut up, man.
Yeah, this affected my heart. Like I said, it doesn't seem like we're even trying to love our neighbors, much less our enemies. There was a pretty famous Christian communicator, and I saw a Instagram reel. It was before Digital Detox, of course. But I saw a reel where he basically was going after Taylor Swift and lamenting over how much influence she has, and she's overtly in rebellion against God and approving of deviant behavior, and on and on and on and on. And I thought to myself, all right, let's just assume that everything that you're saying is right. So you would say she is a very lost person. That's basically what you're saying. Where's the love for her? Why isn't your heart breaking for her? Like I can totally get on board if you feel like someone is a danger in their influence, then you can warn others. But you didn't take 1 second to also say, I love and care about her. So in my opinion, he had good intentions as far as warning people and getting people on the right path and maybe shaking up people's perspectives. But as he did that, and again, my opinion is he also cheapened the utmost importance of loving everyone. He made a us versus them sort of distinction, and I think we always have to go back to there's one good guy, that's Jesus. The rest of us are in need of a Savior, period. And once we find hope in Jesus and we have our lives completely changed, we're still going to make big mistakes, so I don't understand the us versus them mentality, and it really, really does bother me, because I feel like that's what the church, that's how we should be set apart, where it's like, man, the church loves people. Wow. Like, I don't hear hardly any bitterness. I mean, I see them standing up for, justice and standing up for the least of these and being advocates in the community and helping people that are less fortunate. But man, they do it without bitterness and they love people. That's unbelievable. So anyway, Roy, how do you react to this as far as just that original question of, do you ever struggle with the association? I mean, you're a pastor. People know you're a pastor. and of a megachurch. So, the sorts of assumptions people have about megachurches without, finding out for themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah. There's no doubt that that there are times. I mean, the important distinction is I love the church. I love the local church. I don't know. I love the Big C church, the Church of Jesus. But I love the local church, and so it grieves me. It grieves my heart to see us losing our influence over politics, over social issues, whatever. Yeah, it definitely is something that it's a burden I carry. You talk about just obviously the series Digital Detox, and one of the things that we know when we kind of detach from that world a little bit more is I'm guilty of it. I probably carry the weight of the things that I read and the things that I see and the way that I see people that attend our campuses responding to things. I'd rather not know those things, but I also don't know if that's is that the responsible thing? Is that the right response to just shut it off and not even pay attention to it? Because I think there's a level of discipleship involved there. Not on social media. We don't disciple people on social media. We don't disciple people on the internet. But I do want to know how people that call me their pastor are responding to the world around it, so that I can do the best I can at shepherding and discipling and pastoring people who to as you're saying, to represent Jesus better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll give you a chance to answer this too if you want, but with Roy's lamenting Chip and how he articulated that, I want to ask you, as is currently, does the church deserve the influence?
Say that again. Does the church what?
Does the church deserve the influence? Like Roy is lamenting over the loss of influence, and I'm not even saying Roy would disagree with whatever your sentiments would be, but do we deserve the influence? Deserve is probably a bad word.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I would say at the moment, no. I think we've gone about things in such a way, and that's part of the problem. We probably think that we do. We probably think you should listen to us. And I'd pull a Dr. Phil there and say, "How's that working for you?" Because it's just, and Jesus didn't even do that, for crying out loud. I mean, if anybody had the right to do that, he sure did.
Do what? What do you mean by that?
Just say, you should listen to me. I mean, whatever. I mean, the way you asked the question originally about being embarrassed, whatever. And I asked you the distinction, and we talk about the church or the church that we're all a part of. The cool thing is, a lot of what we're saying is, now, I'm not saying member, but for member, but as a church, like from the stage and from the culture and the ethos that we've created, no, I'm not embarrassed. I mean, we're not perfect. We have flaws, but not these kind. We don't beat up on people groups. We don't take hot social issues and just serve it up raw.
You're saying we as in Seacoast right now.
Yeah, at Seacoast.
Yeah.
I like the way Greg and Josh, they, I'm sure it frustrates people that want to see the red meat, but we just kind of put it on the table. And this is how we see what the Bible says. And, we hope you're, wrestling with it and figuring out where you're at. And we'd love for you to come with us. And even if you disagree, we'd love for you to hang around. So I just love the way we posture ourselves. Now, I know we have church members, people that don't carry themselves that way, and love to have 3 minutes with them. So I could, give them a noogie. You know what a noogie is?
Mm-hmm.
Put them in a headlock and rub their head till
with your knuckle.
They lose some hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, their knuckle. But I'm very pleased with the way Seacoast handles these kinds of things. I think it's very Christ-like and Jesus honoring. And I know some people think just the opposite. Well, we should just hit it head on and whatever. Listen, man, the people you're trying to reach, that's the dumbest way to try to reach them. In case you haven't noticed, the people that are in church kind of chose to be there. So they're already at least partially convinced of the truth of our message. Why do you need to yell at them? Because the ones you want to reach aren't listening. They're not in the room.
Yep.
And I think part of why they're not in the room is because the way we act outside of the room.
Right. Yeah. Pastor Josh and I were just talking about some heat that Seacoast took as far as a famous person that comes here and said some things that Josh wouldn't agree with, and he was basically called on the hot seat and on social media, so it's not a real hot seat, but you can just ignore it. But basically saying, you're not going to call this person out. And, Josh and I were talking about this, and it's like, so a sheep of your flock, if you want to use biblical language, does something that you never approved of, you never even agreed with, and you're asking me as a pastor to publicly denounce this person who my position in this person's life is to pastor. I just want to pastor this person. So, A, are you assuming that Josh would never reach out to someone saying public statements that he would disagree with? Are you thinking, oh, so you're not even pastoring? But what good would that be for your pastor? Like, if I did something that you disagreed with and you went on social media and denounced me and say, hey, it's just the right thing to do. Joey did this. You guys know about it. And I'm just going to blast him. That's a horrible friend. So I would say if a pastor does that, that's a horrible pastor. That's not how you treat people that you want the best out of and that you love them and you really care about their well-being. It's so twisted. We're in this culture of, it feels like I always say, is it Pharisaical law, right and wrong, be on the right side. And it's like, Jesus already took care of all that. We get to trust Jesus now. We get to trust the movement of his kingdom, and we get to love people, and we get to help people. We get to disciple people. But I just think it's crazy that people would really expect that out of our lead pastor to denounce somebody publicly. It sounds ludicrous to me.
So, Joey, based on what you just said about not taking your friend online, digital social media, gosh, I got a couple of posts I need to take down real quick about you.
What do y'all think about this statement? It's tough being a part of a church in which people hurt people, bad decisions are made, and oftentimes people act out of flesh and not the spirit. And then an analysis of that statement is, this is true of everyone who is a part of any church. So even though the three of us speak highly of Seacoast and actually do think it's a special place, the sorts of things that we're talking about, we don't feel that Seacoast engages in, or I don't think the three of us would be able to have such an integral role. However, even Seacoast, it's a church, thus it's made of human beings, and humans are going to hurt each other. Bad decisions are going to be made, and I don't even mean grievous decisions, just maybe sometimes, but bad decisions are going to be made, and people are going to act out of flesh and not the spirit. That's going to be at any church. Mm-hmm. Would y'all agree?
Yeah, of course. There's people involved.
Yeah. I mean, at times I've been in a situation, and I think Greg and Josh both and I have had this conversation, that people will ask me, what's Seacoast like, kind of thing. And I tell them, like, here's the deal, guys. It's a great church. I mean, it really is. It's a great church, but it's not perfect. And the way I say it is, we have dysfunction. It's just not toxic dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I mean, toxic is poison. Toxic is it's a slow building incapacitating and eventually killing poison. So, yeah, we have dysfunction. We have things that are frustrating in the way they're handled or done or whatever. And we have people that drop the ball at different times, but we don't have a toxic culture that is perpetually just wounding people and making you breathe foul air that eventually, rots your. I shouldn't give this pun, but rots your lungs.
And this sounds silly, but I would think to some degree that's the best you could ask for is not to have a toxic church, because where you're never even going to come close to perfection. Because from the top down, we're working with imperfect people.
I work with a lot of people, leaders, staff members at different churches around the country, and they'll explain things that they'll get into. They can say anything they want to me, and they'll talk about a situation that hurt them or whatever. And dude, they're completely legit, man. I mean, I'd have been hurt. You'd have been hurt. It was handled poorly. It was wrong. And they'll say, well, what should I do? Should I leave? Blah, 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 blah. And again, now, unless it's like clearly abusive or toxic or whatever, here's what I'll say to them. Basically, anytime you're making a decision about stay, go, whatever, you need to ask yourself, you need to realize this is what you're really doing. Pick your poison. Everywhere has imperfections. Anywhere you go, you're going to be challenged to overlook certain things, because there's going to be something there that just isn't handled properly, isn't whatever. So any place you go, any organization you choose to be a part of, pick your poison.
Yeah.
And I hit an age and stage, I don't know, somewhere in the last 10 to 20 years of my life where I kind of had figured out which poison I can live with and which I can't. And had no idea that I'd land at Seacoast, and I didn't know Seacoast well enough to know that Seacoast has, and again, I'm using this in quotes, whatever dysfunctional / poison that it has is very tolerable for my system. And again, don't let anybody think I'm saying we're perfect. We're not. But I believe we want to be. And that's half the battle.
I think for me, it comes down to, do I trust the heart of our leaders?
I agree.
I for years, when we would do this thing here on staff called Welcome to the Fam, where they bring new staff members around quarterly to the different campuses, and for a season I got to be a part of that, and so I would every quarter I'd get to speak to like our new employees, and one of the things that I tell them is, look, like this is not a perfect place. There's going to be times where you don't like decisions that are made. There's going to be times where you don't agree with things, and where you think maybe maybe you think that somebody's not leading well. I said, trust me, I have all those days. I said, but here's what I can tell you, and I've been here for 15 years now. What I can tell you is I never question the heart of our leadership. I never question, do they love Jesus? I never question, do they believe that they're doing the right thing by God, by the Bible, by their faith? Like, I never have to question their heart in the middle of decisions or whatever. And because of that, Chip, kind of you borrow what you're saying, I can tolerate that. I can be okay with that. Everywhere you go, people are going to make bad choices. But the question is do you trust their heart? And do you really trust and believe that they love Jesus and are doing the best they can to make decisions that are honoring him? And I believe that wholeheartedly about our leadership. No matter what decisions are made, I believe that they're doing the best they can to love Jesus and to honor him in their decisions.
Mm-hmm. And I would say even more special, again, I don't know how unique this is because I've been here for so long, but if you ever did question one of their hearts and felt compelled to go to them, you wouldn't be fired, you wouldn't be scorned, you would have someone with open ears, and it would maybe be hard, maybe even some offense. God forbid they're human. but you would have someone that would want to hear you out and maybe even learn from what you're saying and maybe even change because they respect you in some regard as an equal. And I say in some regard, fully as an equal. There just has to be a chain of command in any organization, you know? Gosh, I told Josh Walters the other day, this past sermon that he taught, it was one admission of a weakness to another admission of a weakness to another admission of a weakness in this sermon. And it moved me emotionally because I was like, this is the church I'm a part of. That how he just carried himself, laughing at himself, then actually even seriously being critical of some ways that he needs to improve. That's so accessible to people, and that is a representation of how our teachers carry themselves. I don't ever want to lose a heart of thanksgiving for that. And Chip, we'll close this out here in a second, but you talked about toxicity and how common would you say, and this is guesswork with some more experience than most people, but there's still some guesswork. We're just pondering some things. How common is toxicity in churches our size?
Too common. I would say, if you remember that most is 51% or more, right? Most is just, if it's over half, it's most. I'm pretty sure I'm comfortable saying you would find a level of toxicity at most. Now, I don't think you need to make the distinction of megachurch. You'd find most churches of any size. You're going to find some avenues or areas of toxicity. And why? Because, and I do think this is changing. It's slow, but I had a couple conversations yesterday with a few leaders around, one in Mississippi and one somewhere, I can't remember. And pastors that have been going to counseling and working on their own stuff. The reason toxicity is present in the organization is because it's present in the leaders. And it just goes with the chair, man. You've heard me say this before, the culture of an organization is the behavior of its leaders. It's not what you say it is. It's not what you preach it is. It's how you act day in and day out and what people have come to expect from you and the culture you've built. So, but I'm comfortable saying at least 51% of any size church, the cultures are unhealthy in ways that are significant enough to call it toxic.
Is that about what you expected his answer to be? Or
yeah. I've heard him talk about this, and again, you kind of said I don't remember exactly the way you said it. You said I know we're kind of guessing at this, whatever. But Chip's someone that has traveled around and seen it firsthand. He's worked with for way more churches than the majority of people will ever work with. So I would say as close as anybody to being able to say from knowledge what he's seen and experienced. I mean, he's about as he's almost an expert in his field, almost. And almost. But no, when
and even as you're talking, Roy, I'm kind of thinking, I'm kind of going around different churches that I know. I think I'm comfortable saying it this way: the real make it or break it factor is that leader's pursuit of his own health.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: he doesn't. It's going to sound a little weird. He doesn't have to be healthy yet.
Yeah.
But if he's pursuing health, it's going to change the culture.
That's good.
He's gonna talk differently. He's gonna see people differently. He's gonna read different books, build relationship with different people. Like I said, I do talk to pastors a lot, and the make it or break it issue is: are you actively pursuing your own health?
Yeah,
and because it infiltrates the culture if you are.
Yeah.
It's good.
Chip, thanks, man. Roy, thanks.
Yeah, man.
This has been awesome. Chip, next time the three of us podcast together, Roy and I talked about it. You need to decide who you like more out of Roy and I. So next time we need your answer, and we'll give you a good bit of time.
We're talking such little amounts for both of you. Why does it really matter?
Awesome.
Hey, Chip.
Yeah.
Why don't you take that flight to Texas next week, man?
Man.
You want him to get sick and die? Wow, that was a low way to end.
You've been watching Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. You can now become a patron of this podcast and receive exclusive content. Your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. Also, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe to this podcast so that you get these episodes as soon as they're released. All of this information can be found in the show notes. Thanks for watching.